Hi, everyone, and welcome to this broadcast. Mark DeJesus here. What I'd like to do is I'd like to take some time to give you some very helpful and empowering questions when it comes to receiving help for your life. If you're familiar with my material at all, I'm very passionate about helping to equip people to experience healing, freedom, and transformation in your life. And that often leads us to points and times where we are receiving help of some kind. Maybe it's prayer ministry from someone, actual official therapy, counseling, coaching, mentoring, some form of feedback for your life and for your journey. I personally am a big believer in receiving helpful feedback that helps you to be aware of areas that maybe you're not aware of, to help empower certain belief patterns, to bring about an awareness of certain mindsets and thought patterns that need to be dealt with, because we all need that, and we all cannot be the best and experience the greatest life and freedom possible just by ourselves. And so we often need that equipping. But how do we take advantage of it? And so I want to take some time to sit down and say, here's some great questions that you can ask yourself. I did a previous video on here are 10 areas that you can look at to begin processing work. Here, I'm going to give you some questions. I'll do some other ones. I think my wife and I are going to do some discussions around it too. And because we really want to equip you wherever you're receiving your help from to experience the greatest fruit from it. And so I sat down, I said, what are 10 questions that if somebody's going to get help, these are 10 great questions you can ask yourself to answer them honestly and to utilize them as springboards into the further help that you need for your life and your journey. If the materials and resources that we produce are a blessing to your life, would you go to markdejesus.com, markdejesus.com. I'll certainly put links below on how you can get to our website. Has access to all kinds of materials, books, courses, all designed to empower your heart healing, your heart freedom journey so that you can experience transformation in the way God intended for you to experience it. And so that may encompass subjects like mental health, emotional health, relationship health, all kinds of areas. So I'm looking forward to sharing with you in this broadcast. Okay, so 10 questions. So you're thinking about getting help, you're about to get help, or you're currently getting help. What are some great questions? Because I think a lot of times it would just help if we had some preparatory mindsets going into the process. I'm going to give the 10 to you, and you can write these down, or if you're listening to them and you're driving in your car, you can just begin to process with me and give yourself some greater understanding and be more equipped. Okay, so 10 questions when you're seeking for help, coaching, and counseling. I think the first one that you have to begin to ask yourself honestly is, what are the signals that are coming up that are telling me you need to get some greater help in these areas? Now, normally what we do is whenever these signals come up, now what I mean by that is, it's kind of like driving in the car and the dash lights come on, check engine, oil, or gas. These are signals to tell us, hey, you got to deal with something. Now, in life, we have those signals. Maybe you're more anxious, more irritable. Maybe you're working harder. Maybe you notice that you're working so hard, but it's distracting you from family. Maybe you can't slow down. Maybe you feel yourself prone to addictions. You feel like you're drawn to certain addict behaviors. You find yourself relationally feeling a greater sense of loneliness. Or these emotional factors, you kind of go, okay, what is that? So take an honest look and say, what signals are coming to the surface that are good signals to tell me, hey, it's time to get some help in some areas. Maybe things in your marriage, your parenting. Maybe there's recall of stuff in your past. Maybe you realize you're not yourself, whatever that can mean. When we say I'm not myself, right? What is that signaling to you? What are those? Because what we typically do is we try to cope as much as possible. We push things down, we push them aside, I'm fine, and we just keep going. That's often the default setting for many people. And we have to sometimes pause and go, okay, What are some of the signals that are coming to the surface that I need to pay attention to? Okay, so that's question number one. What signals are revealing that help is needed? Number two, what is getting in the way of me receiving greater help? Like, be honest. And sometimes our reasons can be something we need to look at and work through. Sometimes our reasons are excuses that we hide behind, right? Now, for many people, you may feel getting help means you're weaker and worse than everyone else. So there's a lot of shame in the sense of even getting help. You should be better than you are, you think. You should be further along. You shouldn't be struggling with this. You shouldn't have this battle. Many Christians will say, well, it means I'm not a good Christian. It means my faith walk is terrible because I can't just do this on my own. And so shame covers it. Is it even deeper? Because shame can fuel pride. Is there a lot of pride where you getting help is this mountain has gotten so high, people have told you, yeah, you should consider getting some help. You should dive in. You should get some prayer ministry, get some work in this, get some actual counseling, sit down where you're actually working through the issues of your life. And you've said, I don't have any issues. And they're like, oh. And that pride and denial has kept you from what is available for you. So ask yourself the question, what's getting in the way of just getting help? Because many times it's just taking action. You go, oh, hey, this wasn't so bad. You feel shameful taking the step, but then when you take it, you're like, oh, there's some good stuff here. There's some good things I can learn. The experience wasn't as bad as I thought. Question number 3. Again, I'm going to give you 10 questions to ask, and you can write these down if you want to ponder them further. The third one, I think, is pretty much one of the biggest questions when it comes to getting help of any kind, whether it's coaching or counseling, therapy, whatever you call it, or whatever the format is. Here's the question. Number 3, what is it that you want, and why do you want it? When you look at your journey, what is it exactly that you want? That's going to help facilitate vision. Now, many people go to help, and sometimes they're asked that question, and they go, I don't know. It's showing we're disconnected to the want to. We're disconnected to the what. We're disconnected to the why. We're disconnected to vision. We're disconnected to where is it that I'm heading? Because what does it want? It's that I want to be more free from anxiety. Why? So that I can be more present, be able to be more engaged relationally, experience peace in my life. I want to break through the hindrances in my marriage, you might say, because I really want a great marriage and I want to walk alongside with my spouse so that we're empowered together. Maybe you're saying, I want to help. I want to facilitate a better mood. I want to understand how to navigate obsessive tendencies, or I want to work through addiction so the what is what's the vision you're looking to, and what's the why is the motive behind it. Does that make sense? And I find 2 great motives are the words love and sobriety. Now, what do I mean when I say that? Well, love empowers us. The love of God empowers us. In fact, the Bible says in 1 Corinthians 13, love believes all things. When you receive that love, you begin to love yourself and see yourself out of that love and live out of that. Love has the ability to infect your belief system in a powerful way to such a degree that you become empowered, strengthened, knowing God has your back. It's a great motive because love helps you to see what's possible. And so many of us struggle because we feel disconnected from love. But I also feel that sobriety is a very important motivator. And when I use the word sobriety, I'm not just talking about not being drunk or intoxicated. Now, speaking of sobriety, I mean being alert to your life, being alert to your world, being aware of how your life affects people, being aware of consequences, being aware of that your life matters and how you live your life makes a difference in others. If you're married, it affects your marriage. If you have children, it affects your children. If you're single, your life still matters. It leaves a demonstration, an example to others. You see, every day of my life, I'm connected to the sobriety that whether I'm with people or alone, my life decisions, what I think about, what I do in my habits, what I allow into my life affects my marriage, my children, and anyone I interact with. And I stay soberly connected to that, right? And I believe the enemy wants to take us out of sobriety. And what we often do is we get lulled into a spiritual coma where we feel like, oh, I'm fine. Everything's fine. I don't have to. And we become disconnected to, well, if you have a certain problem in your life, it's affecting other people. We often think, it's not affecting anyone. I'm fine. And we get by. And so I believe love is a very, very powerful motivator because God is love and it empowers us to see the better that's available for us. Sobriety helps connect us to, if I don't get the help that I need, I could stay limited in this life and it'll affect my generation and generations to come. So I pray that helps you. Question number 4. This is a big one. Are you willing to invest in your mental and emotional and relational and spiritual health? Are you willing to invest in it? Because many times Christians and people in general, we want the most maximum amount of results and help with the most minimum of investment. And I'm not just meaning finances. I'm meaning time, energy. And I believe the Bible says when you're building something, a wise builder counts the cost. It says, am I willing to make the investment? Money, time, energy, discomfort. Am I willing to do what it takes? I tell people this all the time. If you have a whatever it takes attitude, then you're going to experience a greater amount of freedom because you're not going to develop this high maintenance posture and attitude where you're like, well, I don't know if I want to do, because we want maximum results with little investment and little pain and little discomfort. And that's just not how life works. When you get real with your life and you get real with what needs to be addressed, there's a reality of, okay, I've got to really look at this. And that was a major aspect in my journey because I was not finding help in the circles around me. And I had to reach outside of many of my circles. I had to fly to places. And trust me, so many of those times I didn't have the money. But when you want freedom, you'll do whatever it takes. You'll find the money. You'll find the resources. So if you find yourself saying, well, I don't have the money or in many ways that can be a limitation and you may have financial resources, but it's amazing what we do when our priorities line up. We go, you know what? And I've said this in my own journey. I'm going to have to deny all these areas because I want to be healthy. Because what would be the point of having these other areas that my money goes to, but I lose my sense of peace, sanity, and relational growth in my life? Because that's what matters. You see, for me, your investments follow what matter the most. And so I began to say, what's the healthiest thing in my life? If you ask the average person, you say, what's your priority? My relationship with God. Okay, how much do you invest in building that relationship with God? Financially, time, resources. Follow the money in the investment and you'll find a heart, right? The Bible says where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The treasure is where you invest, where you put the time, where you put the energy. Second, most Christians say, I value my marriage. How much do you invest in your marriage? How much do you invest in marriage help? How much do you invest in marriage conferences, marriage materials? Things that you and your wife invest in time away together. Invest in time together, right? When most people say my next priority is my children, right? How much do you invest in things that help build your relationship with your children, right? And so it's what we prioritize. We will find ways to go, I'm going to put everything I have into this. Now, I've noticed I've worked in small church, large church. I've worked in consulting churches, speaking at churches, worked with Christians from many different avenues and streams. And I find that many people will say, I don't have the money. to get whatever help or get whatever, or go to whatever conference or whatever it is, okay? I will ask them this question. Have you taken advantage of all the free resources that are out there? And usually what you find is no, it's not about whether or not they have money. There is actually a scarcity mindset that blocks them. Because many times we got to step out of the boat to walk on water. We have to take a step and go, listen, this is important, and I'm going to find a way. Because many of the people who invest at that level, I've noticed, it's not about a price tag. It's not about any of that. It's about you wanting your freedom more than anyone else does. No one can want your freedom more than you do. And so I ask you of that. We live in the day and age where there's so many free and inexpensive resources out there. And so don't let any limitation say, well, I don't have the money, so I guess I can't get the... Don't let that block you, because the ability to learn, research, in the old days, we'd go to the library. Now you have a library in your palm with smartphones and tablets and computers. We live in a day and age where information is available to you. You could search any Bible translation, anything. You could take Bible courses, materials. You could take so many different things. Really, it's not about the investment. It's about the want to. Do I really want to live healed and live free? And so I ask you the same question Jesus asked the man at the pool of Bethesda. Do you want to be well? So that's question number 4. Are you willing to invest in your mental, emotional, spiritual health? Number 5 is an important one. These are all important. Number 5, are you looking for a quick fix? Because we do. We want a quick solution. We want quick results. We live for that. We get pulled by that. We really get manipulated even by marketing schemes that pull us by that. This is just quick snap of the fingers, easy. If you're looking for a quick fix in emotional, relational health, if you're looking for a quick fix for your marriage, if you're looking for a quick fix for your parenting, many, many people will come to me and ask for one-on-one help. And really what they're looking for is one session that will just knock their socks off, that's going to change everything in their life overnight. If you're looking for a quick fix, you will be disappointed. You will be frustrated. And you know what will happen? You'll go for help. You'll get like one session with somebody. You'll go, oh, that didn't change everything. So in your brain will say, I've gotten help and it didn't work. No, you didn't. You didn't. Do that for about 3 years, then go and say, because see, this is how they take time, investment, staying the course, having ups and downs, step forward, step back, right? But what happens is in their brain, they go, oh, I got help and it didn't work. So then now getting help is a block for their life. It takes time because all true change is relational. All true transformational change happens relationally. You with God, you with yourself, you with others. And God uses the input of his word, the input of who he is, but he also uses relational input so that you can begin to look at yourself with a better sense of discernment, a better sense of awareness. And it takes time. If you go to a counselor, it's going to take a long time for the counselor just to get to know you, the coach to just get to know you. It's going to take a while. And what we want is that instant prayer, that instant thing, that's instant, no, get to the root. Now, I've had many, many, many sessions where in one session, there's major illumination. But regardless of that, we've only just begun. It takes time for light bulbs to go off. It takes time for something that's obvious for everyone else, but it takes time for you to see it. Everybody around you in your life sees it. They've been trying to tell you, but it takes time for the process where the light bulb is going to turn on for you. Number 6, is your journey hinged on you finding the absolute perfect person to help you? Do you sometimes sit there and say, well, if I got help from that person, oh man, my life would be different. We look for the superstar. We want prayer from that perfect person. We want that insight from that guru. We want that we have this expectation that doesn't allow us to appreciate the ordinary. And what I mean by the ordinary is the everyday life. Because it usually takes time to find the people that are good fits for your life and your journey, right? You meet with someone and it goes okay, and you try again and it's like, oh, okay. And you walk that out and you give yourself a chance to get a good taste of it. And it's like, doesn't mean failure. It means keep trying. It's like friendships. It's like the first person you meet, expecting them to be your friend, and then you're highly disappointed that they're not your friend. No, it wouldn't make sense to do that, right? Because you don't make friends like that just overnight. I mean, sometimes you do, but most of the times you don't. I encourage you, start with books. Start with videos. Get some voices in your life that are speaking to the battlegrounds that you're facing so you can begin to go deeper and deeper and deeper. Be a resourced person. Don't look at your meeting, your counseling sessions like everything's hinging on that being great. It's like, no, the counseling session should be the icing on the cake of the work you've done throughout the week that you're now bringing to, so that they're walking alongside of you. They're not doing the work for you. They're not, they're not there to turn all the levers to get you to do things. It has to be you within yourself going, I want this, and I want to experience more life and more healing and more freedom. So, number 7, are you taking advantage of the relational input that's already available to you? Meaning this, pause right now and say, I realize I need help, but are you listening to the people that are already in your life that have said, hey, you're working a little too much? Guys, you thinking about getting counseling? Have you been listening to your wife's input when she says, hey, there's some patterns that are here? Do you have some friends or mentors or pastors or people? They're already saying stuff, but it's like we dismiss it. No. I want to listen to what this guru says, and then this person actually says what they've all been saying. But it's interesting how we don't pay attention to the message. We pay attention to the messenger. We're always filtering. I don't know if I like this guy. I don't know if I like what this lady's saying. I don't know, and that determines whether or not we receive what's actually being said that we need. So many times what a counselor is saying to you is something that's already been said, but maybe you need to hear it in a different way. 3 more questions I'll close with. Number 8, do you only get help when there's massive crisis? That's important to realize, because if you get help from crisis to crisis, you're not going to get what you really need, because it's always 911. It's always that. And we tend to 911, we have knee-jerk reaction, then we lull back into comfortability. That's typically what people do. People do that in their relationship with God. They do that with heart-related stuff, their marriage, their children. They react to a panic, help, 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 help. Over the past 15 and 20 years of me specifically doing this kind of ministry work, the majority of what comes to me is crisis. Help me now. But once the crisis isn't that intense, they get lulled back into the old pattern. And so often crisis is saying the patterns have been ignored for too long. And so it's a massive wake-up call. But those signals are to tell us not only do you need change and help, there needs to be a whole new way of doing life. But we often want to just feel better so we can go back to our old way of living. God's actually bringing about the issues that need to be addressed, invite us into a whole new you, a whole new way of living, a whole new way of doing things. And oftentimes we just want to go back to the way things were before. We want to go back to comfort. Number 9 is, are you teachable and willing to do the work? Are you teachable and willing to do the work? And I even ask people, it's on my form. Are you willing to get whatever resources are recommended, whatever materials, whatever? Are you have a whatever it takes attitude? Because if you do, it's going to streamline things. If not, it's like, do you want to? And then I have to do convincing for you. No one should have to no one should have to put the want to in you. That's got to be something that's in you. Now, you may say, I struggle with the want to. Maybe you're going through depression, so you getting motivated is really difficult. Maybe your prayer could be, God, would you help give the motivation so I can take the next step, and I will yield to it, and I will step into it. And I won't wait for the perfect feeling to come, but I'll step out in faith. Which leads me to number 10. Are you willing to stretch your comfort zones? Because most transformation, most healing, most freedom is we're going to have to step out of our comfort zone. We're going to have to step out of what's familiar, step out into new territory, to learn new patterns, to see new perspectives, to challenge the status quo of how we live. It's a great question to ask yourself. So out of these questions, which was the most helpful to you? Which is the one that you say, you know what? That's the one I need to focus on for my healing journey. And what my desire and passion is that through my materials and resources, I can equip you and help you so that wherever you get help, you are empowered in your life, in your journey. One resource I would recommend is my book, The Heart Healing Journey, because it is my passionate cry to bring a call for you to become aware of the life of your heart, to learn to live healed and free. You can go to markdejesus.com, click on my book section. I'll put a link to this book in the show notes, and you'll be able to access this. But I pray above all that you'll sense the love and grace of God in what I share, inviting you to go deeper. There's more available for you. You have what it takes. Take the next step. I pray many blessings to you, and I'll see you in the next broadcast. God bless.